Hello and welcome to the program. I am Mary Kanu. Now, as the country deals with its several challenges in the oil and gas sector, Italy's oil giant Eni has agreed to sell its Nigerian onshore subsidiary, Nigerian unit Agip Oil Company Now Limited, to local company Oando, the latest international energy giant to divest onshore assets in the West African country. According to the companies, the acquisition of Now Limited will nearly double Oando's reserves to 996 million barrels of oil equivalent. Oando says that the purchase would enable it to significantly increase production and brings to bear the important role indigenous actors will play in the future of the Nigerian upstream sector. The transaction also grows Oando's exploration asset portfolio through the acquisition of a 90% interest in OPL 2A2 and 48% interest in OPL 135. Now, following the transaction completion with Oando PLC, Eni says it will maintain its presence in Nigeria through Nigerian Agip Exploration and Agip Energy and Natural Resources. With the deal on now, Eni takes another step in its long-term strategy to reduce oil exposure in favor of natural gas following its disposal in June of all activities in Congo Republic. Now, this is the latest move out of Nigeria's onshore sector by international oil majors. Nearly all of them, notably Shell and ExxonMobil Corp, have sales underway amid rampant oil theft and spills, perpetual clashes with communities, and more focused exploration budgets. Well, joining me to discuss the dynamics of this transaction is oil and gas expert Emeka Chooks. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. Well, in layman's terms, break down the elements of this agreement signed between Italian oil major Eni and Nigeria's Oando.
Anyway, the agreement is specifically for exploration of crude oil in the Niger Delta, and it has been going on for some time. They've been trying to NNPC and then the private companies have been trying to see how they can tidy up that particular. It has been ongoing for some time. So I think it's going to be beneficial for Nigerians because it's going to help us to be able to increase our production output at the moment. I think that's one of the benefits that we are going to derive from this. It's going to help us increase because over time we have been having issues about not meeting our OPEC quota. So it is having serious challenges, serious financial cut down on our output. But for the past 8 years now, we've been having challenges. So this is having serious crisis for us as a nation. So that contract that is being signed is a milestone for us at the moment.
So the company has revealed that it is moving its focus in Nigerian market from onshore to offshore segment. Will this move have any effect on the future of the Nigerian upstream sector?
Yeah, the future of Nigerian upstream sector is very glowing. Let me be frank with you. Most of the companies who are living massively are living because of the insecurity in that sector. The insecurity is too much. Insecurity is affecting the investors. Over the years, we've seen how pipeline vandalization and kidnap of expatriates has affected that sector. So many people, so many of these big-time companies are moving out, trying to move their production and exploration services to other West African countries because they cannot sustain it. They can't take the risk of losing their expatriates to insecurity. Another reason why most of them are also moving out is because there are so many unstable policies Nigerian government is chilling out. The policies are not stable. Today you say something, tomorrow you say something else. And most of these investors cannot continue to stay in an environment where the policies are not suitable for them. That's another challenge that we're having. Why most of them are going out. Another reason is corruption. Corruption is massive and endemic in the upstream sector. There are so many manipulations going on there. The government agencies and the communities are playing so many dirty games. I know some of these investors, they don't want to get their hands soiled because of their reputation outside the country, their international reputation. So that's the reason why they cannot get involved in this. Another reason why most of these companies are leaving, and which is very, very critical to us, is that they cannot take their investment outside. The profits they make, they can't move it. Their funds are trapped in dollars here. And they don't have need for our naira. They need to take their money out. But because they cannot do this, then they have to leave. They have to carry their facilities and their staffs and go elsewhere where their businesses can thrive. I think these are the challenges we are having. These are the challenges this country needs to deal with. These are the challenges the government needs to deal with immediately. The country will be at loss. There will be unemployment, more especially in the Niger Delta. There will be serious unemployment that's going to hit this country, which is going to make the youth in that location take up arms. I can tell you now, as I'm talking to you today, that you cannot move on Third Mainland Bridge by 7 p.m. because the youth are now beginning to look for other options. I've said this in several platforms. The removal of fuel subsidy and the imbalance of the policies that we are having is turning out on the youth. It's turning out on the citizens of this country. Most people don't even know where their next meal is going to come from. Imagine somebody who is doing barbing, who is doing tailor, or who is grinding pepper, and at the end of the day, he can't do that again because of the increase in petrol, in the price of petrol. What do you think these young men are going to do? They will go take up arms. They will begin to look for how to solve the hunger that is affecting them currently. That is the reason why the government must go into action, find palliatives, find a way of solving the problem concerning fuel subsidy. The same thing is available in the Niger Delta. By the time these companies begin to move out, I can tell you there will be massive crime, massive destruction of pipelines that's going to happen in the Niger Delta. Because most of the youth in that axis are being employed by these expatriates, these companies, these oil and gas firms. We saw how the removal of subsidy in diesel affected the industrial sector. Those days when we come out along Lagos Oshodi Express Road, you see people from the textile companies coming out. But today we cannot see that because most of those companies are shut down. So the government needs to wake up. People are suffering. Whether it is in the north or in the south or in the east or in the west, people are suffering. So the government needs to wake up and begin to find solutions on how to deal with the hunger in the land.
Eni has made it clear that this move does not signal a full departure from the Nigerian energy sector. In the event that this happens eventually, what then should we expect?
They have to shift their portfolio because they are tired of the system here. They have to move. If you are an investor and you are coming to a hostile environment and you find out you can't make profit because these companies come here primarily for number one thing, to make profit. And if they cannot make this profit, they will move. They will have to go to an environment where they can make profit. I know at least two oil and gas companies, who have moved their production facilities to Gabon. Why? Because because the Nigerian oil and gas space is too hostile for them. I think this is what the federal government needs to look into at the moment. The NNPC, the Ministry of Petroleum, everybody, the stakeholders in the oil and gas sectors must come together and find a level playing ground, find a solution to the exodus of these multinationals. They must find solutions to the exodus. That's the only way we can survive as a country. Whether it's in the oil and gas sector, whether it's in the manufacturing sector, we must find policies that it is not anti-investors, that is not anti to their profit. But that is the only way companies can survive, because they come for profit. The primary reason why they are here is to make profit.
So in recent times, we have seen international oil companies shifting their portfolios. And according to the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Melekiari, this will add value, to the journey towards carbon net zero commitment. Is this really happening at the moment?
Yeah, we're already seeing the impact. The economy is going down.
People are frustrated. I can tell you, as at yesterday, when I went to the market to price a bag of rice, they've added another 30% on it. It is affecting practically everybody. And investors who want to come to this country are also watching, because they are trying to watch because the only way you can grow any economy is when you have foreign direct investment. If you don't have inflow of foreign direct investment to your country, you cannot grow that country. It's not possible. I don't know how you're going to do it. Because if people cannot comfortably say, I can come to Nigeria and put my investment down and get my profit, I can tell you with all honesty, your economy will go down. We have seen what is happening in the aviation sector, where we have people, these airlines have their money, over $812 million trapped. They can't take their money out. They are frustrated. That is the reason why we are calling on the federal government to find policies that will help us grow in our economy. And it is going to happen only when investors have confidence in this country. Because if the investors don't have confidence in this country, they will not come. Even the ones that are currently here now are watching. They want to know what the next policies is going to look like. They are even preparing to leave as I speak to you now. So the economy is in mess. I hope you get this. This is the truth. There's nothing else. There's nothing further than this, what I'm telling you. If investors cannot come to your country and invest and be happy, I can tell you with all honesty, you are going to have a destroyed economy. The economy will go down.
All right, now oil and gas expert Emeka Chooks, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Well, we'll go on a break now, but when we return, we're joined by the Chairman, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Ikeja District, to give more insights into this topic. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. Well, amid rampant oil theft and spills, perpetual clashes with communities, and more focused exploration budgets, international oil companies have begun exiting Nigeria's onshore sector. Well, let's get the expert view of another oil and gas expert and the chairman, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, Ikeja District, Bala Zaka. Thank you so much for joining me on the program. Well, what benefits, would the agreement between Italian oil and gas giant ENI and Nigeria's Oando have on the future of the Nigerian upstream sector? And also, will it help in the country meeting its quota of crude supply?
Well, this is what I have to say. First of all, when I heard about the arrangement for the Italian firm that is into oil and gas activities, especially the upstream in Nigeria, wanting to divest the land and swamp assets. A lot of people probably welcomed it as saw it or appreciated it, but to me, I think it was a disappointment to me. The reason why I'm saying this is when you see institutional investors like that, I mean, divesting out of an environment, it's not a positive sign. It is telling you that they are actually or technically running away. The Egypt giant ENI can be technically described as an institutional investor, meaning that they have been there for ages. They have invested so much. They have developed Nigerians, and they have so many assets. The only condition that will make them to divest from land and swamp assets is just because they are experiencing business climate hostilities and they are not breaking even. So to me, that agreement they signed with an indigenous company may look good, but in terms of productivity, I don't think the productivity or the production will reasonably increase. Something tells me that those hostilities that made the international oil company to want to run away from the land and swamp assets are still going to affect the marginal or the Nigerian company. So to me, I will practically say, based on my experience, that we are not going to see a reasonable increase in oil production. And by extension, it is not going to reasonably improve what we are already supplying as far as OPEC quota contribution is concerned.
So Eni has been selling down mature onshore assets in Nigeria for some time. The company sold off its stake in OML 17 alongside Total Energies and Shell in 2021. So do you see the company leaving Nigeria totally, and what effects will that have on Nigeria's crude supply?
Well, when you see giants living like that, definitely it doesn't mean that they are leaving the oil and gas industry activities. It practically tells you that they are moving to cheaper, safer, and better investment havens. And when you see them living like that, it is also technically telling you that your foreign direct investment is shrinking. We are talking about looking for foreign direct investors, and you are having institutional investors running away. Whoever tells you that more investors, especially multinational, will flood Nigeria and invest in the Nigerian oil and gas industry, that person is either ignorant or doesn't want to tell you the truth. Because you cannot have such institutional investors running away because of the myriads of business hostilities and expect that newer ones that are multinational will come. Because, I mean, you talk about sharing of information. There is sharing and cross-fertilization of information. So whatever must be making such a company to leave, I can tell you is not in a positive light, and it's not in the positive interest of Nigeria. So to me, we just hope that the company that will be acquiring those assets will maximize the use of those assets. But as far as encouragement of foreign direct investment, I don't see that. Because if you are trying to encourage foreign direct investors, then you should be able to take care of the ones that are already institutional and working in with you, not to when you see them divesting. Divestment basically means leaving that kind of business and leaving the environment. We're not talking about diversification. If it were to be diversification, we can say they have gone into other things like maybe petrochemicals, into refining, and still within Nigeria. That I can tell you will boost the GDP of Nigeria. But if they are divesting, it's not in the positive interest of Nigeria.
In recent times, there has been an increase in exodus of multinational companies from Nigeria. So what factors do you think are responsible for the mass exit?
Okay, the reason why many multinationals are leaving, whether in the oil and gas industry or in other industries, is because the climate of operation is very harsh. The operating cost is very high. It doesn't still make sense. Whoever tells you, regardless of what they will tell you is in the Petroleum Industry Act, these companies are here operating onshore and they are in swarm location and deep offshore, and they have facilities. At the cost of diesel today, there is no way these companies will be able to survive. Most of their equipment, whether you are talking about tugboats, drilling rigs, and trucks, are all running on diesel. With the current cost of diesel, the cost of operation will be high. Forget about what anybody tells you. And if people continue to argue with you that the environment and energy cost is not very high, leave them and let time tell. The cost of energy and operation is just too high. It is affecting strategic industrial sectors, it is affecting strategic commercial sectors, and it is affecting strategic domestic sectors. And when you have multinationals in these sectors also, one way or the other, it will affect them because they have staff, they have facilities, they are supposed to take care of their staff, they are supposed to take care of their facilities. And considering the high cost of energy, they will not be able to break even. And if they continue to increase the price of their products, the prices will become unaffordable. So that's just the practical thing. The government of Nigeria needs to recalibrate their strategies. We need to come back, regardless of what the Petroleum Industry Act is saying. I'm not a greenhorn in the industry, and I'm telling you, they are running away is because the cost of operation is very high. Production cost per barrel is becoming very high. Insecurity is eating so much. They pay so much to provide security. They pay so much to provide energy. They pay so much to provide communication. The only way we can get things done is to internally domesticate. And by that, I mean, we should produce things internally, consume internally. If we are doing well, we don't need to go on trade shows outside. Investors will come in and they will beg us to be our partners. But if we continue with this trend, it's a question of time. Even the current, what we call institutional investors will still run away. Let's not be deceived by Petroleum Industry Act. Let's not be deceived by government propagandists. Let's not be deceived by government praise singers. If we want the country to be well, whether talking from the point of strategic industrial sectors, strategic domestic sectors, or strategic commercial sectors, we have to do something about security. We have to do something about energy. And we have to do something about general peaceful climate within the economy and the country.
All right, now, well, Chairman, Institute of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria, Ikeja District, Balasaka, thank you so much for your time and contribution.
Thank you.
And that's how much we can take on this edition of the program. Thank you so much for watching. I am Mary Kanu.